Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, President Tinubu retires service chiefs, advisors, Comptroller General of Customs, appoints new ones. 22 killed in fresh attacks in Barkin Ladi as 24-hour curfew imposed on Mangu local government area of Plateau State. National Industrial Court says order restraining NLC, TUC from embarking on strike subsists. And on the foreign scene, 3 killed, at least 38 wounded in Israeli raid on Jenin camp. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour tonight. I am Eugenia Abu. President Bola Tinubu has approved the immediate retirement of all service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police, advisors, Comptroller General of Customs from service, as well as their replacements with immediate effect. Here is the list of those affected.
The newly appointed officers are Nuhu Ribadu as National Security Advisor, Major General Chris Musa, who is the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Tawhid Lagbaja, who is the new Chief of Army Staff, and Rear Admiral E.A. Ogala as Chief of Naval Staff. Similarly, Air Vice Marshal H.P. Abubakar is now the Chief of Air Staff, while Deputy Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun will act as Inspector General of Police. In the same vein, the President approved the appointment of Adiza Bala Usman as Special Advisor, Policy Coordination, and Anatu Musa Musawa as Special Advisor, Culture and Entertainment Economy. Senator Abdullahi Abubakar Gumel is to take up the portfolio of Senior Special Assistant, National Assembly Matters for the Senate, while Olarewaju Ibrahim will hold sway as Senior Special Assistant, National Assembly Matters for the House of Representatives. The President also approved the appointment of Adeniyi Bashir Adewale as the Acting Comptroller General of Customs. The appointed service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police and the Comptroller of General Customs are to act in their positions pending their confirmation in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Away from presidential appointments, no fewer than 22 persons were on Sunday killed, while many others were injured in fresh attacks in villages of Barkin Ladi and Mangu town of Mangu local government area of Plateau State. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, DSP Alabo Alfred, who confirmed the latest killings, confirmed that 2 persons were killed in Mangu town, while 20 others were killed in the villages of Barkin Ladi local government area of the state. Ado Musa completes that report.
There has been series of attacks and killings recently in the state, especially in Barkin Ladi, Riom, and Mangu local government areas of the state, where many were reportedly killed. The latest incident is coming 3 days after 13 persons were killed in Rauru community of Barkin Ladi. However, the fresh incidents occur on Sunday, while the first incident occurred in the evening. The second one happened in the night when gunmen stormed the villages of Kak, Ranyam, Ingik, Lohala and Buka of Barkin Ladi local government area and killed about 20 residents.
We got reports in Barkin Ladi that as we speak, about 15 people lost their lives, and as of today, another 5 persons has been buried this morning, which makes the total number to be of deaths to be 20. We want to assure you that the command is saddened with this information, but like we said, we'll continue to beg our people, please meet our DPOs, get their numbers. These are the first responders to any crime within that axis.
The police spokesperson further gives an update of what has happened in Mangu, where 2 persons lost their lives.
Because of the massive onslaught that we have meted on their hideout, they are on the run. And of course, because they are on the run, they will try to do everything possible to find a way to escape, and anybody that comes in their way may become a casualty. So we use this opportunity to also inform them that because of our work within that area, the hoodlums are running away. Please, if you see them, inform our DPOs, inform our area commanders, call our tactical teams.
While condemning the incident, member representing Mangu South constituency in the State Assembly appreciated the role of youth in restoring peace in the area. Crisis between the Fulani and farming communities has escalated in the state, with both parties trading blames against each other. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Thank you, Ado Musa, for bringing us up to date. Negotiations between the federal government and organized labor on the recently implemented removal of petroleum subsidy resumed on Monday. Both parties reconvened at the conference room of the Chief of Staff for a follow-up on the last session held on June 5th, where some agreements were reached, which resulted in Labour suspending its planned strike until further talks scheduled for this Monday. Among agreements reached on June 5th was the establishment of a joint committee to review the proposal for any wage increase or award and establish a framework and timeline for implementation. The federal government, the TUC, and the NLC were also to review the World Bank-financed cash transfer scheme and propose inclusion of low-income earners in the program, as well as revive the compressed natural gas conversion program earlier agreed with labor centers in 2021. The National Industrial Court on Monday declared that the order restraining the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and Trade Union Congress (TUC) from embarking on their planned industrial action subsists. Justice Olufunke Anuwe stated that the order as granted on June 5 subsists, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The court, in addition, ordered that parties maintain the status quo and adjourn the matter until July the 20th for a hearing. Earlier, when the case was called, the federal government's counsel, Ochumi Manuel, informed the court that the matter was slated for Monday for the claimant to take its motion on notice for an interlocutory injunction to restrain the defendants from embarking on strike. The defendants' counsel, Marshal Abubakar, on his part, however, replied that they had filed an application praying the court to set aside its order granted on June 5, restraining his clients from embarking on strike. He also prayed for a short adjournment to look at the counter-affidavit and respond. Tricycle riders in Kaduna are losing their jobs due to their inability to maximize profit as a result of the hike in the fuel pump price. Some tricycle riders in the metropolis say that they are now operating at a loss and therefore cannot meet up with daily remittances to the owners of the tricycles. Bello Musa has more on that
Price
story.
of goods and services skyrocketed after the announcement of subsidy removal. In Kaduna, commercial tricycle riders have been hard hit and are finding it difficult to meet up with their basic needs. We are still in the business because we have no other option, but we are operating at a loss. Most people are out of the business. We are suffering to balance to the owners on daily basis, and they are now beginning to collect their tricycle from us. Some of us had to stop the business because they can't maximize profit at the exorbitant price of the fuel. Ali Aliyu has been a commercial tricycle rider for long. He is now entertaining fear of losing his job. We are in a predicament when we are appealing to the owners to reduce our daily payment from 15,000 in a week to 10,000. According to the tricycle operators, the present situation has made business uncertain. We may consider additional increase in the fare because we have to survive. If it continues this way, we will continue to suffer. Tricycles, popularly known as keke napep, are the most widely used means of transportation in Nigeria. The business, which generates thousands of jobs, is now facing serious challenge due to the increase in the pump price. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Tricycle riders in Kaduna laying their complaints to our correspondent Bello Musa. The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal has again adjourned the petition filed before it by the Allied People's Movement, APM, till June 21st for hearing. The court had fixed June 19 to commence hearing of a petition filed by the APM challenging the victory of President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the February 25th election. At the resumed hearing, the party asked for a one-week adjournment, which was turned down by the court. The party had applied to the court for a date to commence hearing of its petition against the results of the presidential election, which had earlier been delayed over their inability to obtain a Supreme Court judgment. The ruling of the Apex Court being sought is a recent judgment which dismissed the People's Democratic Party's suit seeking to nullify President Tinubu's election. The presiding judge, Haruna Tamani, after listening to both sides, granted the application and adjourned the case till Wednesday, June 21, for commencement of hearing. President Bola Tinubu will on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, make his first official trip overseas since his inauguration as Nigeria's new leader. The president will join world leaders in Paris, France, according to his special advisor on special duties, communication and strategy, Dele Alake. In a statement on Monday, Alake said the president will join other world leaders to review and sign a new global financial pact that places vulnerable countries on priority lists for support and investment following devastating impact of climate change, energy crisis, and after effect of COVID-19 pandemic. The summit, which will be hosted by President Emmanuel Macron of France, will be held at Palais Brongniart. President Bola Tinubu has pledged to prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians. The president made the pledge on Monday during an audience with the co-founder of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, and president of Aliko Dangote Foundation, Aliko Dangote, in Abuja. He said that the development of a country was critically tied to the health of its people. While saluting the courage and commitment of Bill Gates to work for humanity, he commended the partnership with Aliko Dangote Foundation. The president said his administration would make their work in Nigeria and Africa successful, particularly in the areas of eradicating polio, measles, malaria, and other diseases. Dangote, in his remarks to the media after the visit, congratulated President Tinubu on his election and successful assumption of office.
First of all, it was a courtesy call. We came in for myself and my friend Bill Gates to congratulate him once more for his successful election into this office, and also to brief him of what Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Aliko Dangote Foundation we've been doing in Nigeria, and also committing to do more and to help Nigeria so that our health sector will keep improving, which will turn out to be better for the whole citizens of the country. It's going to be better for everybody. There will be more money now to put into education, into health, infrastructure, and other areas. And our own side is to help support him to make sure that he achieves his own vision and his goals.
Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe has appointed Baba Wali as the acting secretary to the state government, SSJ. This is contained in a statement by Buni's Director General Press and Media Affairs, Mamman Mohammed, in Damaturu on Monday. According to the statement, the governor has also approved the appointment of Alhaji Abdullahi Gashua as his acting chief of staff. The statement said both appointments were with immediate effect. Wali and Gashua had served in substantive capacities before they were relieved of their duties following the dissolution of the State Executive Council in May. A report from the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria indicates that 14.3 million of people aged between 15 and 64 years abuse drugs. The Secretary of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Shadrach Haruna, said this at an event to flag off week-long activities marking the 2023 World Drug Day, themed People First, stop stigma and discrimination, strengthen prevention. Noel Sampson has that report.
Drug abuse is when a person takes more than the recommended dosage of drugs. According to the agency, efforts were made to cut down the supply of drugs in the country by making significant arrests across the country.
In 29 months, we have arrested 31,675 drug offenders, including 35 barons. We have successfully prosecuted and convicted 5,147 of them, and over 11,000 other cases still pending in court nationwide. While 23,725 drug users have been counseled and rehabilitated, majority of them through brief interventions. In the same vein, about 6.3 million kilograms of various illicit substances have been recovered and in response to our effort to strip up drugs and shut down distribution channels. We have destroyed 852.142 hectares of cannabis farm and dismantled 3 clandestine methamphetamine laboratories.
Similarly, the country director, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, said the organization is dealing with many issues in order to reduce the flow of illicit drugs.
Is first and foremost to even further strengthen our collective efforts to increase the capabilities and benefits of international cooperation in criminal justice matters, with a specific target of dismantling the trafficking networks involved in this terrible trade. Secondly, I think long overdue is to make sure that the public, the primary health care providers are better prepared to take care of basic drug counseling needs, of knowing how to deal with people suffering from drug use disorders, and that needs to be rolled out. We need to further improve on the availability of treatment capacities.
Drug abuse also plays a role in many major societal problems such as drug driving, violence, stress, and child abuse. Drug abuse can lead to homelessness, crime, and missed work or problems with keeping job. It harms urban babies and destroys family. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Secondhand smoke is usually inhaled by passive smokers, knowingly or unknowingly, with severe health implications and could lead to lung and heart disorders. In this report, Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman speaks to a physician on the harmful effects and prevention of secondary smoke, saliently killing many unsuspecting victims in the society. Here's that report.
Secondary or passive smoking refers to exposure to second-hand smoke, which comes from a mainstream smoker or burning tobacco products. A person nearby exhales mainstream smoke from cigarettes or cigar containing harmful chemicals into the air, while unsuspecting, usually innocent persons inhale without knowing the dangers involved.
Cigarette smoke itself has about 400 carcinogens. Carcinogens are substances, chemicals that produces cancer. About 400 carcinogens, even more than most of those industrial effluents. In fact, there is virtually no organ in the body that does not feel the effect of smoking, be it the kidney, the liver, even the reproductive system. In fact, the effect is even more on the pregnant woman, on the child, on unborn child of a pregnant woman.
Health experts say at times a secondary smoker could be more at risk of diseases like high blood pressure, heart attack, and even stroke when compared with the mainstream smoker.
Those are assumptions that are not scientific. The main smoker is actually the primary victim of the cigarette smoke, because there is no way you inhale the thick concentration of the smoke into your lungs as the main smoker. Even if you blow anything out, whatever you blow out is still much around your nostrils than whoever is around you. So the thickness is higher around your own nostril. So you are still exposed to higher concentration than the passive smoker around. But the passive smoker is not spared.
Though there is no cure for second-hand smoke, preventive measures are usually observed by staying away from areas where people smoke, burning of smoking in public spaces, restaurants, public vehicles, amongst others. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we will take a look at how June salary raises hopes of ram sellers. Do stay with us.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Thank you for rejoining us. This is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu retires service chiefs, advisors, Comptroller General of Customs, appoints new ones. 22 killed in fresh attacks in Barkin Ladi as 24-hour curfew imposed on Mangu local government area of Plateau State. And moving on to other stories now. President Bola Tinubu approves dissolution of boards of federal government parastatals, agencies, institutions, and government-owned companies. He has approved the immediate dissolution of the governing boards of all federal government parastatals, agencies, institutions, and government-owned companies in the exercise of its constitutional powers and in the public interest. A statement signed by the Director Information Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Willie Bassi, said the dissolution does not, however, affect boards, commissions, and councils listed in the third schedule, Part 1, Section 153(1) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended. The statement said the chief executive officers of the parastatals, agencies, institutions, and government-owned companies are directed to refer matters requiring the attention of their boards to the President through the permanent secretaries of their respective supervisory ministries and offices. And as Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark this year's World Sickle Cell Day, experts have called on parents, the government, health facilities, and all stakeholders to prioritize genotype testing, newborn screening, as well as early diagnosis and management of the disease. They say doing so is important in the quest to save the lives of babies born with the disease, as mortality and morbidity rate is high among them. Here's that report.
Nigeria alone accounts for 66% of the cases of babies born annually with sickle cell disorders in sub-Saharan Africa, according to data from the Federal Ministry of Health. The World Health Organization says over 300,000 babies globally are born annually with sickle cell disorders, with over 75% cases in sub-Saharan Africa. To mitigate the trend, experts say couples and parents need to take genotype testing, newborn screening for expectant mothers seriously.
Out of that 300,000, more than 150,000 of those sickle cell disease babies are born in Nigeria. In their antenatal clinics, the mothers, expectant mothers, usually are educated and they are encouraged to do their genotype testing. Then when they come for immunization, we also talk to them, counsel them, and then screen the newborn babies.
But if it is SS, that is sickle cell, we'll have to talk to you personally, call you, counsel again, in order to prepare for the management. We bring them to the pediatric unit. Here we have a special center there for sickle cell. So the enrollment should be within 3 months of age. So once they are enrolled, and folic acid penicillin is being started immediately.
Children born with the disease are prone to early death if they are not followed up with appropriate care.
And then we train the lab persons. So if the lab persons are 3, 2, depending interns, we train all of them to be able to take these samples. They will go also to train the midwives or the ladies, the nurses that are in charge of the immunization units will take the samples through a dry blood spot test. So this test is dried in the lab and then shipped to the center.
We already have multi-level standard of care guidelines for the management of sickle cell disease, which we will use in training those healthcare workers in the primary healthcare centers to provide health maintenance, for our babies.
Sickle cell disease makes up a large percentage of childhood under 5 mortality. Experts say the disease will negatively impact on the attainment of health-related sustainable development goals for high-burden countries if efforts at control are not instituted or expanded. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And staying with health matters now, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has raised the alarm over the nationwide proliferation of unapproved herbal products, which it describes as dangerous. The NAFDAC Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, told journalists in Abuja on Monday that most of the herbal medicines were in the form of snuff and oral liquids, which she said were mainly sold by street hawkers. She also noted that the enforcement team of the agency was commencing a nationwide clampdown on the manufacturers and traders who sold such uncertified products. The agency has also commenced a nationwide mop-up of a substance referred to as Sacra herbs, which is currently in circulation. And to security matters now, the police in Anambra State have confirmed the killing of 2 gunmen who attacked the camp of the Anambra Vigilante Service on Monday. The attack occurred in Okija, Ihiala local government area of the state, which borders Imo State and has witnessed many terror attacks by gunmen. A source said about 15 armed men attacked the camp of the vigilantes in the early hours of Monday and opened fire on them, but were quickly repelled by security agents. He added that vigilantes did not record any casualty. Confirming the incident, the police spokesman in the state, Deputy Superintendent of Police Tochukwu Ikenga, called on private and public hospitals to report any patient with bullet wounds. Ikenga said a joint security team was mapping the area to arrest the fleeing gunmen, adding that no life was lost on the part of the vigilante operatives. Ahead of Eid al-Kabir celebration, ram sellers in Bauchi State are expecting sales to pick up as soon as June salary is paid to workers in the state. Adamu Imam reports that Muslim faithful in the state are also hopeful of making their sacrifice despite the present economic situation. Here's that report.
As Muslims prepare to witness another Eid al-Adha regarded as a festival of sacrifices, Bauchi residents are praying for government's intervention as ram prices are higher than expected.
Can't afford the price they have been selling is too cost. You understand? The animals were too cost. The price of the animals are too cost. In the sense that people they cannot afford to buy. The ram that you can buy at 40,000 now it will cost you almost 80 to 70,000. So you can see you can even see the situation.
To be able to get 1 or 2 for the CS inshallah Eid al-Adha. But from the look of things, the cattle, the ram, they are not affordable at all. Maybe there are maybe due to some factors I don't know.
While ram dealers at Durum Weekly Market appeal for government at all levels to quickly pay June salary to enable more patronage in the state.
We are expecting government to pay June salary because without the payment of workers, the market will be so boring. Honestly, it is necessary for government to release money so that the market will flourish. We sellers cannot enjoy without the people coming to buy our rams. I hope they will do the needful.
This government should look at masses, understand? It's all our government that we vote for, so they can help us so that everybody will live fine. See food problem, people are complaining of food. You see corn now is 450. Rice. Let the border should be open so that people will have relief.
The buyers are, however, wary that market dealers are conniving with middlemen, known locally as Enchori, to increase prices. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
More than 40,000 Nigerian intending pilgrims have arrived Mecca, the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, ahead of this year's Hajj rituals in the holiest city of Islam. The pilgrims who have now completed their Umrah or Lesser Hajj are being encouraged to pray 5 daily prayers at the Masjid Al-Haram, the Grand Mosque, in view of its abundant rewards. Sharif Al-Hassan takes a look at the pilgrims' journey and the significance of their stay in Mecca as the epicenter of the pilgrimage. Here's that report.
After spending 5 days in Medina, visiting Islamic landmarks, more than 40,000 intending pilgrims departed the city of Mecca for the pilgrimage. Having worn the ihram or white garment as a sign of purity, they made a stopover at Miqat. The journey of the Hajj rituals begins here in Zulhulefa, popularly called the Miqat. It's a point where all intending pilgrims going for this year's pilgrimage to Mecca stop in order to make known their intention before heading to Mecca for the Umrah and Hajj proper. These are Adamawa State intending pilgrims setting out on an 8-hour road trip to Mecca, reciting the Talbiyah, meaning Allah has called and they have answered. Shortly after securing their accommodation in Mecca upon arrival, the intending pilgrims immediately moved to the Grand Mosque of Kaaba, Masjid Al-Haram Mosque, to perform Umrah, the Lesser Hajj. The Kaaba is a sacred building situated at the center of the most prominent mosque in Islam, the Masjid Al-Haram, here in Mecca, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is also at this place where Muslims all over the world look up to as Qibla, or direction, for their 5 daily prayers. Bello Manzo is among 2,583 Adamawa pilgrims who arrived and performed Umrah in Mecca. He is happy for being part of those who prays at the Masjid Al-Haram Mosque for the first time in his lifetime.
Wannan falalan ɗaya daga cikin ɗawafi, sannan akwai sallah, akwai nafila. Duk wanda ka gani anan ba abun da ya kawo shi sai dai ya zo ne don Allah.
From circumambulating the Kaaba 7 times to Safa and Marwa and the cutting off their hair, the Umrah rite is then completed.
Therefore, since there is enough time before Salah or before Arafah, they have to engage themselves in Kaaba, the holy Haram, with many supplications, tawaf, and many things to do, reading Quran, praying. So those are the expectations from the pilgrims.
The Zamzam holy water is among many other things enjoyed by the pilgrims in the Grand Mosque of Kaaba. As narrated in the holy books, Zamzam is the holy water and is termed as a great gift from God, which dates back to the time of Prophet Ibrahim. As Nigerian intending pilgrims continues to arrive the city of Mecca, the first holiest Islamic city, they are expected to pray 5 daily prayers at the Masjid Al-Haram Mosque in view of its abundant blessings and reward within, before they will have to depart to Mina, the hub of the Hajj rituals, in days to come. From Makkatul Mukarramah, Sharif Al-Hassan.
The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has cautioned Nigerian pilgrims to avoid the consumption of bushmeat, hides, pomo, smoked meat and others in view of the outbreak of anthrax disease in the West African sub-region. The NACON Commissioner in charge of health, Dr. Saeed Ahmad Dumbulwa, said the caution was necessary in view of the trans-border trade between Ghana, Togo and Burkina Faso that had so far confirmed the outbreak of anthrax disease in some parts of their respective territories and Nigeria. He said NACON swiftly issued the advisory to pilgrims for fear of contact with Muslim brothers and sisters from those countries who would be taking part in this year's Hajj exercise in Saudi Arabia, who though might not necessarily be infected by the disease, but for precautionary measures. There is a growing concern in Katsina metropolis after rains washed many graves in cemeteries in the state. Abdullahi Amadi reports that over 30 cemeteries in the ancient city are at risk.
Among many major cemeteries affected by the downpour include Damarana, Dantakum, New and Old, as well as Rimimbadawa. Prominent sons of the state like the late General Shehu Yaradua and his younger brother, President Umaru Yaradua, were buried here, beside other highly placed Islamic scholars, such as famous Wali Damarana and Dantakum, among others. Residents are, however, concerned over neglect and vulnerable the graveyard faces during rainy season, even as some residents deliberately allow animals to graze inside these cemeteries, making it easy for rain to destroy graves whenever it comes.
At these crucial conditions, government alone cannot shoulder all the responsibilities single-handedly without the people's cooperations, sacrifice, and assistance. Therefore, in this case, we have to come out in mass, see that we give our personal donations and call on people at the same time to come and donate for maintenance of our permanent homes, that is graveyards. We go around and discover some of our graveyards were collapsed and they need urgent attention for maintenance.
Though many unions, clubs and associations, including Nigeria Union of Journalists, were engaged in the graveyard rehabilitation some years back, the volunteering work is going down drastically. The sector is seriously suffering even as there are still few associations engaged in the rehabilitation of cemeteries in Katsina.
Last year we were able to vote about 2.something million naira herbicide, and it was dispersed to almost all the graveyards. But it is not enough. And this 2 million naira, over 2 million naira, were contributed by our own individuals. We and the general public contributed. Even His Royal Highness the Emir of Katsina last year was able to give us 500,000 naira toward the maintenance of our graveyards. So I'm still appealing to our people to please come to the aid of our graveyards. We cannot do it alone. It's a collective responsibility.
Islamic scholars say graveyards are everybody's ultimate destination, and therefore its rehabilitation is everybody's business. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Political associates and other prominent Nigerians paid glowing tribute to the late media icon and founder of Dar Communications PLC, Raymond Dokpesi. Abdul Rahman Umar covered the day of tributes at the International Conference Center in Abuja.
What can I do? I smile and welcome. So if I even ask them to do, I'll be very glad that they left one united.
The story of the life of late Raymond Dokpesi is one wrapped with significant achievements. Dokpesi pioneered private broadcasting in Nigeria in addition to his significant achievements in the maritime sector. Prominent Nigerians at the event, including the former President Goodluck Jonathan, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, paid glowing tributes for the late Dokpesi.
When Toby was there, attended that program, he was this very first person that made me believe that there could still be life even after losing a presidential election. Because even when the Goodluck told me that the person waited to host us, I said, well, initially I was skeptical, but I said, okay, let us go. I thought that was going to be a small gathering of his family members and some of his friends and so on. But when I got there, the place was full of. And I said, how will you spend this kind of money to have somebody who has lost election as a president? But after that day, listening to the speeches, I've also spoke. So the words of encouragement from Raymond Dokpesi and all the other people that spoke gave me that energy to do what I'm still doing today.
He believed in investing his energy, land, and resources in our dear country, Nigeria. He was convinced that our challenges, however daunting, can be overcome with the right policies, which will unify our country and create conditions for business to thrive and create opportunities and wealth for our people. He was involved in politics rather than just being a businessman and media mogul. He understood the power and capacity of government when applied correctly, to make a positive impact on society.
Because he exhibited core values of hard work, of creativity, of loyalty, and friendship, as has been attested to by those who have paid tribute to him. His undeniable achievements marked him as one of Nigeria's most impactful media executives. High Chief Engineer Raymond Aliogo Douglas will be remembered by this generation and indeed the future generations. I most respectfully wish to conclude with the words saying, the sorrow we feel when we lose the loved one is the price we must pay to have had them in our lives. Adieu, Ezomo of the universe. Like the Yorubas would say, Sunweo. Like the Igbos would say, Lana Ndogwa. Like the Hausas would say, Kuhita Lafia. Adio Chief Aliogo Anthony Raymond Douglas.
Dr. Bessie died on Monday, May 29, and he will be buried on Saturday in his country home in Agenibode, Edo State. Abdurrahman Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPODEC, is asking the Kwara State House of Assembly to come up with a legislation banning water travels without life jackets. The call coincides with the report of the National Waterways Authority on a boat mishap in the state which killed 107 persons in Kwara State. The report blamed the accident on non-adherence to waterways protocol. Here's that report.
Last week's boat mishap in Patagi, Kwara State killed 107 persons around 3 o'clock in the early hours of Monday. The boat that was meant to convey lesser passengers carried more than 250 on the fateful day. After a visit to the accident scene, the managing director of the National Waterways Authority, George Mohalo, said that preliminary investigation had revealed that none of the safety protocols was observed before the ill-fated accident. Moving forward, he says an environmental impact assessment will be carried out before building a jetty or ramp in the area.
We share the pain of the loss, which preliminary investigations have confirmed was actually a consequence of human error that was avoidable if the basic protocols were followed. From the report we have received so far, though the investigations are still ongoing, showed very clearly that the vessel involved in the accident was on water at a very unholy hour.
The Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPODEC, for its part, says it's donated life jackets to the people of the community, but they refused to use them.
Life jackets. I want to emphasize on this. It's quite unfortunate that even despite the distribution of life jackets, which cost the Commission close to 1.6 billion naira last year, were not put into use. Otherwise, lives that were lost in Patigi will have been saved. The life jackets we distributed last year has the capability, a floating capability of 7 hours. At least, by the time somebody is floating for 7 hours, within 7 hours, somebody will have been saved.
The Commission wants the Kwara State House of Assembly to pass laws which, if enforced, will save the lives of people. It is also warning people against night or early morning travels.
It's time now to join Chiamaka Nwafor for Business Update.
The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, says 13,126 disengaged workers withdrew 12.72 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023. The disbursement data is contained in the agency's quarter one report for the year. PENCAM said the withdrawal is aligned with the Pension Regulation Act, which allows any disengaged worker to access 25% of their retirement savings balance within 4 months of unemployment. Under sectoral withdrawal approvals, PENCAM said the federal and state governments had 259 and 211 ex-workers respectively, while the private sector had a total of 12,656 in quarter one. The report also shows that from 2014 to March 2023, the agency has had a total of 466,812 workers who were disengaged from their jobs and have withdrawn 201.22 billion naira from their retirement savings accounts. The Development Bank of Nigeria (DBN) as of December 2022 provided 631 billion naira as financing support to the primary financial institutions. Managing Director of DBN, Dr. Tony Okpanachi, disclosed this in Lagos while presenting the progress and achievements of the bank in the past 5 years. Okpanachi said that over 313,000 MSMEs had benefited from the support, which led to the creation of more than 900,000 jobs. He noted that the bank has provided long-term finance to over 60 primary financial institutions since its inception. On women empowerment and gender equality, he said that women-owned MSMEs accounted for 69% of all businesses financed by the end of the 2022 financial year. And finally, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is working on a platform for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, to enable transactions between countries. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva disclosed this on Monday in Rabat, Morocco, at a conference attended by African central banks. IMF Managing Director says the global lender wants central banks to agree on a common regulatory framework for digital currencies that would allow global interoperability. The IMF chair further said CBDCs could also help promote financial inclusion and make remittances cheaper, noting that the average cost of money transfer stands at 6.3%, amounting to $44 billion annually. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka. And on the foreign scene, Israeli forces have raided the Jenin refugee camp, killing 3 Palestinians and wounding at least 38. The raid began early Monday morning with Israeli soldiers storming the camp, firing live ammunition, stun grenades, and toxic gas. The Palestinian Ministry of Health has identified the victims as Khalid Dawish, 21, Qassam Sariya, 19, and Ahmed Takr, 15. The Israeli military said the raid was to arrest 2 suspects and that Israeli soldiers came under fire, which resulted in a massive exchange of fire. One of the suspects they were after was the son of an imprisoned Hamas leader. As the Israeli military vehicles were exiting the camp, the army statement said a military vehicle was hit by an explosive device, damaging the vehicle, after which military helicopters shot towards the gunmen to help the forces exit. Kenya has signed an economic partnership agreement with the European Union that will guarantee duty-free access for its farm produce into its biggest export market. European goods entering Kenya will have tariffs reduced over a 25-year period. Under the agreement, the deal took 7 months to negotiate, making it one of the fastest the EU has ever struck. Kenya, Africa's 7th largest economy, is a major exporter of tea, coffee, flowers, fruits and vegetables. The EU accounts for 21% of its overall exports. Kenya signed an initial trade deal with the EU in 2016 alongside its partners in the 6-nation East African Community Trade Bloc, but it was not signed by most of the EAC countries and therefore did not fully come into effect. Time now to join Kabir Lawal for Sports Update.
At least 14 countries have qualified for the 2023 African Cup of Nations. This follows the completion of Match Day 5 qualifying fixtures this weekend. Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau have booked their spots from Group A. The Cape Verde Islands are through from Group B and Mali from Group C. They join host Ivory Coast, holders Senegal, Algeria, Burkina Faso, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Morocco, South Africa, Tunisia and Zambia in the finals that kicks off January 2024. A total of 24 countries, the top 2 teams in each of the 12 qualifying groups, will qualify to play in the tournament. There are 3 more fixtures to complete the 5th rounds of qualifiers that will be played on Tuesday. Still on sport news, Bournemouth have announced Andoni Iraola as new head coach, replacing Gary O'Neill, who was sacked earlier on Monday. The 40-year-old Spaniard, Iraola, has signed a 2-year deal with Cherish following the expiry of his contract at La Liga side of Rayo Vallecano. O'Neill was sacked 7 months after he was made club's permanent boss and helped them to Premier League safety. Iraola spent 3 years at Rayo Vallecano, guiding them to the 11th in the Spanish top flight last season. Meanwhile, Brendan Rodgers has returned as Celtic manager 4 years after leaving to join Leicester City. The 50-year-old Northern Irishman has agreed 3-year contract and the Scottish champions to replace Ange Postecoglou, who left for Tottenham this month. That's sports news. I am Kabir Lawal.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV tonight. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and our YouTube live stream. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Eugenia Abu. We thank you for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.